good afternoon, or depending on the location, also maybe good morning. So I'd like to show you how to get data out of e1ns. As I am less important than what I'm presenting, I will stop my video and let's directly dive into the slides first. As Julia already mentioned, what is the current state? It's basically a manual workflow. And these manual steps we can also do somehow a little bit automated. Furthermore, I would like to explain you which tools can use Power Query in the Microsoft environment. And yeah, also I'd like to show you how to gather data from e1ns via Power Query. So we will configure a small example that you see also a potential result. So first of all, how you are doing it today. Are you tired of manually exporting from e1ns Finder, maybe? And you're struggling converting them to Excel. Maybe you have already a template in Excel for, I don't know, pivot charts, maybe, filling every month, depending on the report frequency, manually the data in from the export from e1ns into this Excel file. Maybe sometimes this is the daily business or the monthly business of an FMEA coordinator. With the Power Query, we can improve it. At least that we have only to open a file where maybe also pivot charts are already existing. And additionally, we just need to push a button in the Excel area data. By the way, also Power BI has this area data, where we just need to push the button refresh. And maybe with some VBA magic, you can also automate this one, that the data is gathered directly by opening this file when you are able to do a little VBA script for that. The built-in Power Microsoft tools which are using Power Query. What are they? And first of all, what is Power Query? Basically, it is Microsoft's powerful ETL tool. ETL, what does it mean? Extract, transform, and load, which enables you to connect to various data sources, in our case, to e1ns. With together clean and to transform data and load it into the desired environment. And all with a more or less user-friendly interface and an automation capabilities. Basically, Power Query is integrated in several Microsoft products. Most known is Excel, where we can create and configure Power Queries. Further are Power BI, but also the 365 tools like Microsoft Dataverse, as well as Azure Data Services. They're also using a Power Query. Small disclaimer for Microsoft, Excel, Power BI, Azure and Dataverse all are trademarks or registered trademarks of Microsoft Corporation. And all other product names and brands are the property of their respective owners and are used here only for identification purposes. The benefits: you can retrieve your data dynamically and always up to date for your analysis. You have real-time data. Keep your exports up to date by retrieving the data in real time by, as I said, either refreshing within the software, within the application, or else with VBA magic directly by opening. Also, we have the possibility for flexible further processing. You can use the retrieved data immediately in Excel spreadsheets for pivot charts, Power BI reports, and so on. And we can create comprehensive and up-to-date data analysis with that. Having the graphs additionally added, we can also create detailed graphical analysis with that, with this raw data coming from e1ns, and the reports that present complex FMEA data in an understandable way. And also, due to less manual steps, we have also more efficient reporting. Due to the automatization of the data refresh, we are reducing manual labor to create the accurate and up-to-date reports with minimal effort. What data I can get with e1ns or from e1ns with Power Query, to be correct. At least all data which can be found, which can be queried by using the e1ns Finder, is available for transfer also via Power Query. This includes comprehensive FMEA content, control plan data, and much more. Basically, all what is part of e1ns methods, every form sheet data can be gathered. Which data cannot be transferred? Unfortunately, there is also something what we cannot transfer. Basically, these are, for example, milestones or timing informations from e1ns actions. All the diagrams, images, timing related stuff, and furthermore also the graphical process flow from e1ns flow, as well as the graphical representation of the structure via e1ns aspects, can also not be transferred. Very common question when customers are asking me for Power Query: can Power Query also transfer data back into e1ns? Their intent is that they are sharing an Excel from e1ns to action responsible persons, let them follow the actions, and asking for transferring the Excel data back into e1ns. Unfortunately, no. Power Query is just a one-way extract. It's a one-way process. We can only retrieve the data to visualize them, but we cannot get back anything into e1ns. And can any e1ns customer use Power Query? Well, basically, yes. As soon as you have an on-premise installation running on your internal servers, or you are using one of our dedicated cloud packages, and you have also the appropriate API licensed. Customers which are using a multi-tenant setup, multi-tenant cloud, unfortunately, they cannot use Power Query. And furthermore, where we cannot guarantee that Power Query is running as soon as you are using single sign-on, independent if it is a dedicated cloud or an on-premise installation. There we cannot guarantee if it will work. Before we come now to questions, I would like to show you how easy it basically is to create a Power Query. So I will do it in Excel, but also here, it doesn't matter if you are using Excel or if you are directly using Power BI, the ways are not, they are indeed the same. Unfortunately, I have a German-speaking Excel here, so we need to go to the area data. And we have directly the icon or the button query data from web. This is exactly the setting we need. Unfortunately, it takes a while. And standard is not enough for us. We need to have the advanced settings. And now we need to stick together the request URL. First part of this URL is your URL from your e1ns environment up to e1ns. The remaining part of the URL we don't need. We need it up to e1ns. We need to copy, and we can directly paste it in here. The second part, this will come then later, when you have licensed this API, you will get also the URL to the API. This is the part we need now to request. Unfortunately, here are some traps. As this is a concatenated URL out of several data fields, as we can see below here, we need to be careful. Copying the URL, for example, with this additional slash, we can do, but then we need to remove it here. Otherwise, the URL shows 2 slashes, which will run into a failure. Furthermore, Power Query also needs to know which data we want to gather. Add part is this button's name in English. We need to create another field. And I would request, for example, the system element name. I need to enter now the type ID, the so-called. Later, I will also show you where you can get the type IDs. And also here, very important, as it is a request, we start really with a question mark. SKU, why SKU? We are working with e1ns. So we did not rename the database fields. e1ns is using the same databases and also the database fields e1ns SKU has used. System element is still also with the e1ns environment named SKUSE. As the system element doesn't provide us enough information, we need to add further parts, which will be maybe this course. And now another trap. Instead of this question mark, we now need the and sign. For further, oh, sorry, my bad. Wrong stuff in clipboard. As I'm a little bit lazy, I just copy paste from another list. So we want to gather also this SKU course. Furthermore, we want to understand the AP, the AP1 basically, another part, another and sign. And you can already see this is already new and not anymore part of SKU. This has already a complete new name. Then we also want to see the recommended action for sure to understand about which action we are talking. I missed the end, need to add it. And really forgetting this can create a failure when we try to connect with the database. Then I would also like to see the responsible person assigned to this action. By the way, hitting enter is not enough. You really need to actively use this button for a new line. Also, we want to understand when this action is due, or was due maybe in worst case. Then also the status. This is basically a standard setup for getting an information about action status in a whole database in that case. And last but not least, I will also take AP2. Maybe you also want to understand which AP1 already was lowered. So quick check, nowhere forgotten something. Question mark, the and sign is everywhere in place. Great. Then, in next step, we need to configure some information for the HTML header. So Power Query also needs to know to which e1ns database it shall log in. There is a list available, but there is no string, no HTML order, which is helping us. So therefore, there is a special one, which is called x minus Plato profile. And in this case, it will be my database demo, en. I need to quickly check if it is n or eng. Eng, exactly this one. Great. Also here, we now need to add a line because also need to transfer the login data. There is no text field like you might remember when you log in into e1ns. So therefore, we also transfer username and password. And this we are doing with authorization. And this is cryptic, this is encoded. Therefore, we need to use an encoder. Base 64 it is. Go away, I don't like commercials now. Okay, then make it big. So this is my password, my username. It is separated by a colon, and this is my strong safety password. Having it encoded, this would be the cryptic result. I'm copying this from here, move away that one, and also the next trap in configuration. Power Query also needs to know what kind of encryption it is. So you need to state it. So basic, and then paste this cryptic string inside. It's very important that there is also a blank, a space between, and also not to forget it. Otherwise, it will also run into a failure. Now we can check if I did everything correct. Looks quite good. Not directly a failure message. The Power Query editor opens now. And here we go. What are now the next step? We are interested in the records. So now we need to click on records. In the next step, we are interested to create a list. So therefore, we need to use in rows the entry a list. We still do not see data, and we have only one column. Why? So now the next step would be we need to convert it into a table. We can confirm here just with OK. There's still just one column. There should be more. Yes. We need to create them. We need to give an order to Power Query to create more. And this we are doing now with this button here on top in the upper right of the column header, where we only see STIO system element and cause, and that's, we had selected more, we have requested more. Therefore, we need to use also here load more to see all columns directly. This is the result I was expecting. Now I can click here on OK. Now I have all my data, but again, I do not see anything yet. Well, this we do in a second step or in the third, depending which step we are doing first. First of all, I'd like to rename the column headers. This is easily possible without damaging the request, just by double mouse click or right click and edit. So let's just call it system element. Because this will also be later transferred to Excel, to the result. So failure cause. Oh, there was obviously one finger faster than the other. And too thick they are, damn it. So then we have the action completion date. Let's call it simply due date. Then we have action status. Then we have here the action responsible person. Oh, no, I did wrong. This is the responsible user. And also can directly correct my typo. Responsible person. Need to fix this afterwards. AP1 and AP2. And where the hell we can see now the data. So we need again to use this icon here on top. But now we need to deselect all and we just need to select a value. And now the first data will become visible. This we need to repeat now again for every column. And last but not least for AP1 and 2. Obviously this was not yet calculated, therefore there is no difference in the result. Therefore we have the 0. So now we already see the first raw data. So now this was the action itself. So then I can rename it, recommended action. Sometimes the renaming makes also more sense when we already see the first data, that you do not run into the trap what I did now. And also we can format the date directly. So as we can see here, this is the typical date from a database. And when we want to have it formatted, this we can do as well, just by a right mouse click on the header, by changing the type and select date. Then it looks already much better. For sure, this is now, according to my Excel, it is the German date format. And all is now listed in this history in the used steps or the preceded steps. So when we want to change something, when we want to add something, we can also do a double mouse click on source, which is the name here in English. And we can add further stuff. And with this 3 dots, we can also move them top or down. But it might happen when we do not just add another column at the end, that we need to proceed again all the steps when we are adding additional content. Once all this stuff is now done, we can close and load, and then it will directly create this Excel table. Here we go. Formatted as a table, and from here we now can derive data. Maybe we can add also additional columns for, I don't know, counting, for example. This is then the raw data source, which can be used anytime. And whenever you need to report again, just update data, and that's it. Once this window here is closed, you can get it back with request and connections. Then we are back. Once we need to update, we need to modify, we do a double mouse click on it. Then we are back in the Power Query editor. When you are interested in, we can also, or you can also create this generic query in Excel. And based on this query we have created with the right mouse click, we can also go to the advanced editor. Mark all, this is the complete request now. Mark all, copy it, and by right mouse click with new request, with other sources, we can also open an empty request where we can paste, for example, in Power BI or Dataverse or wherever, an empty request where we can paste now the complete code inside, and then we have it copied. We can also rename this. The next update then will also show in the tab the name. Rename. So let's call it action reporting. Close and load again. And after the next update, also the tab will have a different name. This is basically the raw configuration of the Power Query. Now I have promised to show you also where to get this data. Therefore, I need to log into my e1ns, where you can get these type IDs from. You can get your type IDs from e1ns Finder. For example, doing a pre-selection of FMEA here, going to failure cause, where it is. Here we are. Oh, sorry, I haven't switched my browser. But nevertheless, hovering with your mouse over an entry, in the tooltip, you will see on the bottom in brackets the type ID. From here, you can get your type IDs to configure then, and maybe also to modify your Power Query. This is for failure cause, when you want to have also the failure effect. You can see it also from here, or failure mode, as well as system element. It's just QoSE. This was it basically for configuring Power Query and for what you can use it. Any question?
Yeah, thank you so much, Andreas, for this great presentation and all these valuable insights. Of course, a big thank you to all of you for joining us today and taking the time to learn more about data queries in e1ns. So let's have a look. I see we had some great questions coming in. Thank you for that. And the first question is there support available for configuring Power Query?
Yes, there will be support available. Once you are contacting your sales representative, you get this query, and then you can also directly request a service. Basically, we do service for a basic configuration that you are also available to modify and to understand how to modify and what's important. Basically, we are offering here half a day for doing this. For sure, also, we can configure the complete one. Then it is depending on the effort.
Thank you. And the second one is, can I use any user account for a query?
Oh, basically also yes. Any user account which at least has the administrator basic right, ID1. But also furthermore, you can create, if you like, also a separate user. At least this user account needs to have then ID 62, application e1ns, for allowing to log in, and also data analysis and reports, ID 31. Also, existing accounts without having administrator rights for sure also need to have at least these both rights. Basically, 62 will be there, otherwise the user would not be able to log in into e1ns. But additionally, at least he needs to have 31 to get all data, not only own data. For getting really all out of the database, 31 is necessary. And for sure, creating a specific user for doing these queries, this is consuming a license.
Okay, and the last one, it is possible to test it, the Power Query?
Also here, basically, yes, it is possible. Also here, please contact the sales representative to get a temporary test license. And we're also recommending it when you are using single sign-on to have at least, without cost, a limited test phase to understand if it would work or not.
Thank you. Yeah, if something remains open, please don't hesitate to reach out to us afterwards. And of course, if you would like to dive deeper into the topic or get support in setting up your own automated reports, feel free to contact us. Have a great day and goodbye. And Thank you, Andreas.
Yeah, also from my side, thank you very much. Have a nice rest of the day.